Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another video, the first proper one of 2023. Happy New Year, and boy, celebrations are here everybody, because guess what? Channel 4, which was due to be privatised, that whole plan is scrapped. It's official, it's come from the government, and I'm reading this article here from broadcast.co.uk, Broadcast Now. Great site, great articles on obviously broadcasting material, highly recommend you check them out. But they posted today an article from Alex Farber that Channel 4 privatisation has indeed been scrapped. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you. It says the sale of Channel 4 has been called off, and instead a package of measures to safeguard its sustainability will be introduced, including the potential for it to produce shows in-house. Culture Secretary Michelle Donelan wrote to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak yesterday, setting out her decision in a letter obtained by the Newsagents podcast. And to delve in a bit with that letter, it says, after reviewing the business case, I have concluded that pursuing a sale at this point is not the right decision, and there are better ways to secure Channel 4's sustainability and that of the UK independent production sector. Yes, I think this is what has been said since September of last year when Nadine Dorries decided to impose this because either she didn't know what she was doing or she had a personal vendetta. It basically baffled everyone. You know, people have gripes with the BBC, the whole licence fee debate, etc. But Channel 4 being privatised seemed to confound nearly everyone. It didn't make much sense. And I did a whole video actually about when Michelle came to post back then, so if you want to check that out, you can. Continuing on, it says the Culture Secretary, who has asked Sunak to respond with any comments by today, that's the 4th of January, has set out a package of measures to ensure Channel 4 remains sustainable in the long term. Most significantly, these include the potential for it to produce programming in-house for the first time, although whether to embrace this strategy will be determined by the management team at Horseferry Road, which is one of Channel 4's bases. So that's quite exciting, because of course Channel 4 in its 40 years of existence so far has always received programmes. You know, they commission production companies from all across the UK to make programmes for them that they will then broadcast on Channel 4. So to make things in-house is quite cool. But again, whether they'll adapt that, I mean, Channel 4 has always been a champion of independent production companies, of independent groups coming to make content for them, and also to give them a springboard, you know, to give them a chance. So whether they'll want to take some of those opportunities away to make stuff in-house, I guess it remains to be seen. But no matter which way you look at it, I'd be down for either. You know, I think I'm a half and half on it. If Channel 4 made their own stuff, that's great, but you know, we've got to keep the independence in too. Michelle continued by saying, I intend to legislate to relax the publisher-broadcaster restriction, giving Channel 4 the flexibility to make some of its own content and diversify its revenue more effectively, should it wish to do so. So it seems that she's relaxing that, but it's fully in the hands of Channel 4. Whether they're going to do that, it's completely up to them, which in my view is absolutely right. She added that the government intends to work closely with the indie sector to consider Channel 4's role in driving investment in producers, especially in the newest, smallest and most innovative is safeguarded. Well, that's amazingly, it seems the Tory government is working to protect independence. What a surprise. But, you know, the indie sector makes up such a huge part of Channel 4's back catalogue and some of its best programming, in my opinion. Donelan indicated that the gradual move to enable in-house production will take place in tandem with an increase in the 25% quota of programmes which must come from qualifying indies. DCMS may also introduce specific protections for such companies. I mean, protecting indie companies I think is good, because not that Channel 4 tends to do them dirty, but a lot of indie companies from different other big broadcasters can get burned quite easily. So protections for indies I'm all for, and saying an increase in the 25%. So is that saying 25% of programs must come from indies? So they're trying to raise that. As long as the content's good, I think that's great to have a lot of independently made content on one of the biggest national broadcasters here in the UK. I think it would be a great step forward. She says, I will also work with colleagues at the Treasury to consider our approach to future requests to increase Channel 4's borrowing limit beyond the current 20 million limit. So obviously more borrowing means more chances for more content, but also chances for more debt. Moving on, it says other measures, which the letter says have been agreed by Channel 4, include requiring it to increase its investment outside of the capital, that being London, by doubling the numbers of roles located in the nations and regions to 600 by 2025. At current staffing levels, that would represent 2/3 of its employees. So yeah, a move out of London. I think all of the big broadcasters need to do this. Channel 4, I think its HQ, or one of its main bases, is currently in Leeds, up north, and we've seen it with others as well. You know, the BBC and ITV have bases now in Salford, around Manchester. So I think moving even more out of the capital would be a very good move indeed. Just it gives more people around the country that opportunity to work for a broadcaster such as Channel 4. It says Channel 4 will also increase its investment in skills to 10 million per year from its current 5 million. I think that's always a plus, invest in more skills. Michelle says, overall, my intention is to be clear with Channel 4 that we expect them to achieve greater sustainability, for which the government will give them more tools, while optimising the support and growth they provide to the creative sector and the regions. So I guess she's acknowledging that Channel 4 does have such a key part to play in the UK creative sector, the different regions around the UK, and of course the independents, which were touched on earlier. She's sort of saying they want them to have greater sustainability. The way I read this is she basically, I don't think Michelle ever wanted to privatise Channel 4 as Nadine Dorries did, so I think she just wanted to wrap this up, make it seem like she was giving them a light slap on the wrist, to move in different directions, but overall I think this is for the better. Of course, this letter has been leaked, so a DCMS spokesperson declined to comment, and the Secretary of State for the DCMS has been clear that we're looking again at the business case for the sale of Channel 4, announcing more plans in due course. So, while this letter, of course, was obtained, apparently, by the Newsagents podcast sent to Rishi Sunak, usually when these things happen, they end up being true, whether or not this will be announced in a day or so, or maybe a few weeks, who knows, but I guess it's just important to make that clear. Donelan wrote in the letter, though, that DCMS is keen to formally announce its intentions as soon as possible, referencing the considerable delay since the proposals to sell Channel 4 were unveiled in September 2022 by Nadine Dorries, no less. That wasn't Michelle who actioned that. She acknowledged that the decision is likely to be popular with the majority of parliamentarians. If she means in terms of not privatising it, yeah, I think even a lot of Tory members were a bit surprised by this. There is that very right-wing ardent bunch who, it's all about money, money, money and greed and such, but I still think not privatising it is the right call. Then we come to the shadow culture sec, which is Lucy Powell. She welcomed the U-turn, of course. She said the Conservatives' vendetta against Channel 4 was always wrong for Britain, growth in our creative economy, and a complete waste of everyone's time. And you know what? I couldn't agree more with her. Slap that quote under a picture of Nadine Dorries walking out of 10 Downing Street in shame, if you ask me. This whole thing was a waste of time. About 95% of people, I'd argue, didn't understand why Channel 4 should be sold off at this time. It didn't need to compete with things like Amazon and Disney. That's not what it's there for. It's mainly to harbour independent, very much British-made content, and if it continues to do that, great. Lucy Powell finishes off by saying, our broadcasting and creative industries lead the world, yet this government has hamstrung them for the last year with the total distraction of Channel 4 privatisation, and again, I couldn't agree more. The next issue I'd turn to would probably be the BBC. Yes, there's always a debate for the licence fee, and I've said before, I'll say it again, that I think the model of the licence fee can be adapted radically, or changed, but in terms of trying to basically close down the BBC bit by bit, I just think that's wrong. Yes, it's meant to be an impartial broadcaster. Does it always meet that mark? No. But I'd argue the service it provides, not here in Britain as well, but around the world, is so key and so unique that I think people would definitely notice if it was gone. They say they won't, of course, but I think they definitely would if it disappeared. But that's the main news of the day, that it seems that the Channel 4 privatisation plans are being scrapped. This was from a leaked letter that Michelle Donelan is sending to the PM, Rishi Sunak. So again, it's not, well, I say official. It is and it isn't. This letter seems to be officially from her, from the Newsagents podcast. I'd say that's a fairly reputable source. However, this hasn't been officially, stated in a public statement by government, etc. But I imagine that will probably come in the coming days, weeks, or maybe even months. But let's just hope that if this is true, that Channel 4 won't be privatised. I mean, for the independent sector alone, it's a great broadcaster. For British content, it's a great broadcaster. And I think it can do great things over the next 40 years, never mind what it's done in the past. So, long live Channel 4, if you ask me. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree that Channel 4 shouldn't have been privatised? Or maybe you did think so. And, I'm not saying you can't comment. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know why you think it maybe should have been privatised, if that's your leaning. But let me know in those comments. Also, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. It really does help us out. And do subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We would love to have you aboard. I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show. And a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, To Boast Crotts, Globe of Reviews, Trev Hughes, Derek Chambers, Sean Knock, Bailey Green, and DSTV New Zealand, our AMTV staff members.